Hello, good midday from my side. I'm happy to do the second lunch and learn session. That's a new format created by the IAA Mobility, where we want to have exchange with you, bring hot topics, and really have a lively discussion. Yesterday we were talking about partnerships, and it was the best session with views, everything. So hopefully we have a lively session also with you. Tomorrow we will have the Deutsche Bahn, so our German railway company, and we talk about mobility as a service, just to do a preview. We talk about livable cities and individual mobility. A perfect match. So I would put a question mark, because if you look now at our cities, are they livable? Are there ideas to make them maybe more livable? Have they been built after Second World War? Talking about Europe around cars, question mark. So this is a broad topic. And I have two great experts. I know both of them, met them before. One is from BMW, Maximilian. Please join the stage. Here, yeah, I go in the middle. And Vincent.
Hello.
So let's see whether this is a perfect match. Yeah. I hope. And it is not too harmonious. So please sit down. So before we start, I look at introduction Maximilian, former colleague working for BMW.
Right.
They have the booth next door. Neue Klasse, so really looking into the future. But besides classical cars, BMW has a long history in looking on how, what is the role of BMW in our whole society. So please introduce yourself, what you do, and what's your link to our topic today.
Yeah, sure.
Maximilian.
Thanks, Anfeta. So my name is Maximilian Eckes from BMW. It's from the Innovations Department, and we are especially looking at urban mobility solutions. And we are innovating in this area with pilots and projects, and are working with cities together.
Vincent,
yes.
You're from Rotterdam. What's your role or your play there?
I'm a policy advisor and project manager on innovations in the field of mobility. In that role, I'm also the coordinator of our collaboration with BMW.
So we have a public, let me say, a typical situation. Private economy, family-owned, BMW.
Still is,
big corporation, global, and we have something from the public side, Rotterdam, modern, sparkling city. How did this come that you two work together? Since when? And what was the initial, the first moment side when you came together for this partnership?
Well,
maybe from your side.
Yeah. It started with, a dealership, innovative dealership, wanting to settle in Rotterdam, and it turned out we were talking about innovations, and can't we do more than just find a good place for you for a dealership? And so it started just with getting to know each other.
It was a dealership.
Yes, that's
not headquarter.
No, not yet, not yet.
Okay.
I'll keep it brief. And. Well, it turned out that both the BMW group, or initially the dealership, and us as a city could learn a lot from each other, and that's why gradually we expanded it. And in 2018 already, we formalized it with a memorandum of understanding, and since then we've been formally collaborating, doing pilot projects, learning from each other. And it's going great.
So celebrating 7th birthday.
Yeah,
it is. A long party. From your side, how did
for us it was important because we know that the mobility in cities changes. We know people move differently 20 years ago than they do today. So understanding that, and actually also being part of solutions to create, that's why we said we want to not stand on the sideline and just watch passively, but actively engage in it. And having had that story before, there was an opportunity, and then we said, we'll move to it, and we will be an active part in creating new mobility solutions.
Yeah. But why not Munich or Zurich? How did Rotterdam get the chance to cooperate?
Well, we do actually work with Munich. We
Sure,
work
but
with other
but you have a
cities
really
over the, yeah. Basically,
strategic relationship. You
yes,
communicate.
because the main reason is that the BMW Netherlands groups, they had already very good contacts. So with them together, the door was open. And if I may say, what impressed us was one of the slogans that the city of Rotterdam has, and that is, make it happen. And make it happen is something that you need when you want to pilot and find out new things. That's why we said, let's try it out. And we have many things made happen since then.
Okay. You mentioned before that mobility is changing. 20 years ago it was different than today. How would you describe today what's the role of mobility, of, let's say, urban transport? What's the situation right now?
Well, maybe we can also start to refer to some of those pilots, because what we want to learn is the behavior of people.
Okay.
How do people behave when they travel into the city? And a few of these pilots are exactly about that. So everybody knows, traveling in the morning for commute, you might choose a different mobility mode than when you travel at the weekend with a family into the mountains. So you always have to kind of prioritize time, cost, sustainability and comfort. And to create a solution that is kind of open to that, that's what we aim for to do.
So you talk about travel mobility patterns.
Yeah.
How do you address this topic? I know just from London Transport that data plays the most important role. When did you start to look at the patterns, how they evolve from public or Rotterdam municipality viewpoint?
Well, this has been one of the three pillars of our collaboration since the start. So the three pillars are sustainable or electric mobility, data, and what we call the mobility transition. So multimodality, changing people's travel behavior, their modal choice, and in that way, what we can learn from this collaboration is, as a municipality, as a public organization, we quite often do not have really direct contact with people in cars.
Okay.
We can manage traffic lights or add a lane or take away a lane, but sort of talking to people in their car or even before they get in their car, messaging via a phone, that's an instrument we normally don't have. And through this collaboration, we have this instrument, and that's why we can learn so much about not just the hard physical measures on how to steer mobility, but also nudging people's behavior, how to influence that, while still keeping the city accessible for everyone, because everyone wants to go to their family, do groceries, has to get to work, etc. And also leave people free to choose what fits them, while still caring for a livable city.
Yeah. We come back to nudging and behavior, but Vincent told us that you can deliver data. Give us an insight. Is it just car data or customer? How is this data created? Just a very practical thing.
Well, actually, I would like to give an example of one pilot where we combined behavior and data. Data one flowing into the car. We use our display, for example, at a small pilot in the Merwe-Vierhaven area, where it's a community hub, and we can use data inflows where then people using the minis, they get kind of additional recommendations on how to charge, on how to use maybe different modes of transport. Also, when it comes about commuting, there's a close-by train station to nudge them. Would you like to, switch daily behavior? And that's a big challenge. So we're trying with that inflow data. The other data that we also I could give an example is that we're currently talking with the safety region in Rotterdam. The safety region includes also the fire department. So there is, as a very simple example, if you have cars standing in a place in a garage, we could use the outside temperature to have like a pre-alert system if something
For fire.
goes on in the parking for whatever reasons.
Yeah.
And that's something that goes very quick and can be used to, in this case, make a city safer.
Cool. I want to open it up, so please raise your hand. Please tell us your name. I think it's polite, and looking forward to questions. Where are the hands? Come on. I have enough, so don't worry. Please. We have a little of my help. Just stand up, then you are. Please.
What exactly?
Oh, here.
There it
Thank
is.
you. So you are.
Thank you. Yeah. Daniel Schepers, Audi AG. What exactly does BMW do in Rotterdam? What's that BMW provides? You were talking about minis, so obviously some kind of car sharing or shared mobility. What else do you provide as an OEM?
Yeah. So it's actually less about providing cars, but we are coming from our innovations department from the past where we had quite a lot of experience in car sharing, behavior of people there. We have experience in how to address through the display certain messages and give these kind of more technological and sort of from our inputs into brainstormings to create those pilots. So what we give in is we are saying we have cars opportunities and technologies, but this is useless if we don't know what's going on in the city. So Rotterdam comes with the know-how, how the people are, and how we could then jointly make a pilot. Maybe just an example, one of the first pilots that we did was an e-drive or e-zone pilot.
Perfect.
Together with the city of Rotterdam, we defined a GPS zone,
Geofence.
a geofence around the city. And every plug-in hybrid that entered that automatically switched into electric mode. I mean, that doesn't sound great, but it really fulfilled our ambition. How can we make the cities cleaner? So using technology in order to help the driver to drive in a different way is something that was very positively then approved. And we rolled this out then to over 150 cities in Europe. Just a small example where we provide technology in order to pay into that.
Personal statement. I think that's a very cool feature to help to use a hybrid in the proper way. We all know the statistics, so that's a very, very good example, I think, to really get the impact of hybrid cars.
Yeah.
Any else questions?
Oh, another example of gamification. We can use, again, the display, and we can convince drivers by driving in an eco mode way, and in such way he earns kind of credits in order to release a AI-driven graphic. So the more you drive eco-friendly, the more this graphic will appear on the display. And it's just a bit of nudging and a fun factor that people like. And this leads to, in our pilot, 7% electric consumption reduction. It's maybe not the big world, but it starts with that. It starts with trying to change and break up behavior and nudging towards that part.
And what are your experiences with gamification? How long you do it, or any learnings from nudging through gamification?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
We're talking about nudging gamification credits. A little bit more about this. What are the?
Well, it's this specific pilot where we just see there's a clock timer sort of running if a car drives in eco mode or the comfort mode, and this is just registered, and then it kind of flows into this. And with that learning, we want to enhance to other series a bit in that direction.
Okay.
Maybe to add to that is that quite often with nudging or gamification, people think that there needs to be a reward in place. An incentive, maybe monetary, to get something in return. But one of the insights from this pilot, but also a different pilot, I'll explain in a minute, is that people's behavior can be influenced even without a reward, just by how people are. People like, if they see this graphic, like to see it grow just for the sake of, oh, what will the graphic look like, without getting money or credits or whatever in return. Another example is we did a pilot together called My Travels, where at the end of the week you'd get an overview of the number of short trips, medium long trips and long trips you've made during the week. Basically like when you get the report of how often you used your phone, something like that. And just by providing this information, without any incentive whatsoever, people reduced their number of short trips by 1.5 per week. And again, it doesn't sound much, but if we add all these nudges together, and especially in big numbers, well, it adds up. And also, I think it's not, as a public authority, we can do the hard measures I mentioned before, so narrowing lanes, adding cycling lanes, etc. But my opinion is we shouldn't do either or. We should do both.
Okay. There was a question here.
Oh, okay. Hello, thank you for this insight. My name is Jan Hegner. I'm with Dromos. We do autonomous public transport. You mentioned technical features that you could roll out. But now if we talk about behavior, people in Rotterdam do behave differently than in Maastricht and in Germany and in Togo and in, I don't know what, Africa, East Europe. So while we can roll out technical features, what are your insights in rolling out experience out of behavior, insights out of behavior, because they are very different across the globe?
Very true. And I think one of the key insights, first of all, in general, is that this behavior component is important, regardless of what the nudge or what the influence is. Of course, cultures differ, people's travel patterns differ, the circumstances, modalities that are available, etc., all differ. But just the realization of this importance of people's behavior, understanding their behavior, their choices are not always rational, but also habit-based. That's, on a general level, an insight that I think is important. And to translate that to something more tangible, okay, then what should we do? For instance, if I look at my own organization, our mobility department is way more technical trained, so traffic engineers, etc., than behavioral experts. Maybe we should hire psychologists and sociologists.
Thank you.
Maybe to add to that, yes, absolutely. This is, of course, something that we are confronted with, because we cannot just copy-paste something. And that's something we don't have an answer right now, that we can very easily scale everywhere. You see this picture up there. This was deliberately a scribble picture that we wrote. This is Rotterdam, and it helped us in workshops to kind of understand how people move, and you see these transparent cars because we don't know how the cars will develop. And coming back to the question, we have as BMW in many countries BMW representatives, and it would be then up to us from the Central Innovations Department to connect with them and say, this is our learning, maybe there's a possibility to copy-paste that into that. But one important thing is there needs to be a very strong willingness also from each city. And that's what we really value in our collaboration from the beginning. Takes some time to build trust, but once that's there, you have an open book and you talk about all the things, and sometimes the pilot goes more into that direction, and you have to find out. And we're at the beginning of this journey, and it evolves constantly.
The statement about transparent cars, I think, is very bold. Stand here and to say we don't know how they look maybe in the future.
Yeah.
I would like to come back again on this public-private. You were talking about your department. Give us an idea. Who works there? How does it change? Will you get those psychologists, or how does it, for Rotterdam, what kind of role you play? Because Munich has the same thing, but only 2 years ago. So where do you stand?
So our department is around 150 people working on mobility.
150.
150,
Okay.
yes, 150. And that is all different kinds of topics and roles. So it's not just policy advisors on logistics and freight, on parking, on shared mobility, all those topics. But it's also, for instance, the infrastructure designers. So, okay, how wide should the road be? How many lanes? Does it have enough capacity to carry the traffic flows? But also traffic management engineers. So programming the traffic lights. So it's really a wide range of expertise. And as a department, we'd like to be a front-runner city, like to develop. Of course, you cannot do everything, so we collaborate with other cities as well, exchange knowledge.
Who are other front runners who like to? In Europe, make it easy.
In Europe, it depends on the topic as well.
Urban transport.
Yes, but for instance, think about cycling. Often Copenhagen is mentioned. Autonomous driving, there are other cities. Yeah, Oslo indeed. And we collaborate with Stavanger as well. I know digital twin, so more the digital and data side. I think it was Helsinki that's also working on that. So it depends really per topic. Of course, we cannot do everything. That's also why we collaborate with BMW. And it's really important also to choose. So what can we do and what do we invest in and to really try to make a change? And what do we leave up to others and maybe are a bit behind and look, okay, can we learn from you? Because, Rotterdam is a city with about 700,000 people. We like to do a lot, but we cannot do everything.
But I may say, hopefully, BMW transfers these learnings, because I don't think we are at the front runner league playing right now, so there's a lot of potential.
Yeah. And maybe one last thing to add is also that here we're at the IAA, so the automotive industry, but we do the same thing to the Polis conference, which is a network of cities and regions collaborating. So we really try to reach out in both fields to collaborate, share knowledge, etc.
Okay. One in the back and one again. So, Switzerland.
Okay. Hi, my name is George Speaker from Parking Zurich. Seeing two of you, government as well as OEM, combined together on stage, to me the important part is not about driving, it's also about how do we park cars, how can we guide the driver in the city to find the nearest parking space. Has there been collaboration between the two of you to foster this kind of use cases?
Hot topic.
Yeah, actually, this is a very good topic, because all these topics, parking, charging, are interlinked. How does the traffic flow? In fact, right now we are having a project that's running for this year. Every year we make focuses, and this year it is actually parking. And one topic, we talk at the beginning of the year, where should we actually focus on, and now it's on parking pressure. And we are thinking then now about how can vehicles that pass by every day, could they possibly scan to find out where are cars parked, where are free parking spaces, so that information comes back into the systems, so that cars will be guided more direct to that. What is the positive upside about that? Cars do not circle around for 20 minutes to find a parking space, but they would immediately go there. Does that releases a little bit of traffic because they're not circling? Are the number of cars reduced? Maybe not, but we can't find a one-size-fits-all solution. So parking, yes, that's what we're working on, and then developing it even further. Maybe Vincent, you can comment on that regarding the scanner cars and all that.
Yes, definitely. So it's not just about the search traffic for a parking space, but also as a city, we would like to know what the parking pressure is in different neighborhoods to know do we give out too many permits, or is there still space? Can we reduce the number of permits? Can we take maybe away some of the parking spaces and it will still be sufficient, but there's room for greenery, for instance? And currently we do that by employing a company that will go into a neighborhood and basically do a parking count, different times of day, different days, etc. This costs a lot of money, and we have a snapshot of that point in time. But if we, in this pilot, can implement the learnings in our own scanning vehicles, which scan if people have paid for parking, and extend that to measure parking pressure, then we don't have to hire this company anymore. So it saves us a lot of money. And also, we don't have a snapshot every 2 years, but we have a constant data flow every day, every month. So the accuracy of the data is way higher, and then we don't have to pay for it anymore. So large benefit for us as well.
All about data. There was another one.
Yeah, just two quick ones. You say that you obviously got the data and you measure the number of cars. Do you see a decrease in private car ownership that can be linked to the pilot concepts, especially when comparing with other cities? And can you, too, like from a social perspective and from the OEM perspective, paint a picture of the ideal inner city that you imagine in 10 years' time that's realistic?
Stole my last question. Come on.
Do you want to start?
Well, I think on how the city can look like, thank you for allowing us to make the reference to this vision picture we jointly made to inspire how can it look like. In this vision, you can see many different modalities, fewer cars, larger role for bicycles, shared mobility, more space for greenery, etc. However, cars will still also be there. Here you see a lot of innovation. A lot of people drive second-hand car. They can't afford a new one. So we as a city recognize that there will still be cars, and then how can we make sure that they add the most benefit, they're used by the people who actually need them, and that the downsides of cars are reduced. So that's what I say for the vision. Maybe you want to add?
So if we look 20 years back, and if we just look at the amount of driver's license that were made today, it looks different because there are more options for the people to drive into town or to drive in town. Is it bus, metro, the scooters, or whatever have you sharing? So as these modes are more and more connected, the usage of cars will go up. I mean, they're poorly used today. You know, drive 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the afternoon, and then 22 hours they're standing still. So I think it will go into the direction that the usage of cars will go up, which also means there will probably be a bit of a shift in the number of cars. But basically, we are, from the innovation side coming. So we look at how can we offer a better mobility for the citizens, for urban areas where all modes are integrated. The car, the bus, and even waterways, including new streets which are not asphalt but on water. Just come back from last week, the Rotterdam World Port Days, where we had expert workshops where we are thinking about exactly that. How can mobility hubs be combined using also waterways for that? And that's where we believe the direction goes. Seamless, digital, integrated. That's technically possible. The thing is, how can we get the people to move towards that, changing behavior?
I would love to continue the discussion about ownership, usage, micromobility. We don't have the space. If you want to continue, join our Community Smart Mobility at University of St. Gallen. It's a great executive program. Just a short note to come to the last round, 2035. What's the one thing which we as inhabitants of Rotterdam, Munich, will experience differently where we really say that's a real benefit with these cities that will change? What's the one thing?
From my point of view, the one thing I would say, multimodal traveling will be more seamless and more accepted, more normal, just more part of everyday life.
So freedom of choice, how you move.
Yes, and also combining different modes.
Okay.
So not just the car or just the public transport.
Thank you. Maximilian?
Getting from A to B in such a way is not seen as a burden, driving the city. It will be something enjoyable. So make these journeys enjoyable and not a burden.
That fits very well to the core of the BMW brand, joy of driving. Thank you very much. Thank you for your questions. And yeah, have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Hans-Peter. Thanks.